We good? Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 12:30, so we'll begin, and I'll ask Commissioner Shermack to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. I'll note at the outset that Sheriff McAndrew told me that he may have to leave during the course of the meeting, so if he does, he has to get to another very important meeting. So it's not anything that I'm wearing or not wearing that would be the reason for him leaving. He's doing it of his own accord. And with that, I'll mention that our minutes were circulated prior to the time of the meeting, and I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review them. And if you have, then I'll entertain a motion to approve. I will also note for the record, that the District Attorney Powell is participating on the speakerphone here, so he is present. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading and approve the minutes of the February 2023 monthly meeting.
Motion.
Do I have a second? I have a second. On the question, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes from February are approved. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the board on agenda items? Okay. No one stepping forward, so we'll move into the agenda. Our first motion is a motion to approve all current payables for the prison and the Community Corrections Center. And they weren't really distributed till this morning, so I hope everybody had an opportunity to review them. So if you have, then I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion.
Do I have a second and a second on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's no slight on the staff. We get them out as soon as we can. So we'll move right into the Controller's report. Mr. DeVillio?
Yes, Judge. The prison inmate and canteen account for report for February 2023. The Controller's Office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of February 2023, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $507,861.70 as of February 28th, and the balance in the canteen checking account was $357,602.59 as of February 28, 2023. And in addition, as of February 28, the canteen account also included a balance in the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust investment accounts of $757,090.95, which will mature in July of 2023. And during the month of February, $76,482.12 was paid from the canteen account for the benefit, welfare, and education of county inmates, and the itemized details are attached inside my report. And that concludes my report.
Where are we on the outside audit? Do we?
The audit that is going to take place here, has anyone ordered that yet? Can I ask my staff if that's been done, or if we're waiting for anything yet?
No, we reached out to the Controllers Association, and none of the...
Could you come to the podium, Reggie?
We reached out to the Controllers Association, and none of them have indicated that they've had an external auditor do any of those audits. But we're open for suggestions. We'll have to write a plan on what exactly we want them to do once an auditor is selected.
And who are we going to work with on that,
If
Frank?
I may, I have reached out to to Mr. Arduino and asked him to provide us with a list of our current auditors, because we can start from, I think, that premise and see who within there may be able to accommodate our needs. I'm no accountant or auditor, but I don't think it's a complex audit. I think it's just a matter of auditing these couple of accounts, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So I think respectfully, we can just use one of the existing auditors or one of them that's not currently, within the cycle to do that. So I was just waiting for a list from Mr. Arduino. I will follow up again today with Mr. Arduino, and I will ensure this board has a list of auditors from which to choose by day's end or by tomorrow.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, and I think we just have to make sure that sometimes, if it's a local accounting firm, sometimes local accounting firms are also involved in electoral politics, so we gotta make sure that we stay away from any of those firms who might be working for someone on this board.
Yes.
And I think that's, just one thing that I want to make sure that we do.
Understandable.
Okay.
My plan, Judge, would be to get the board the list, and then from the list, perhaps we can check off who we
Okay.
probably know right off the bat may not be suitable, and then the board can decide.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Very
Perhaps
good.
by next meeting, Judge, we can pick.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
Okay.
If we
'cause we-
circulate and then identify some viable firms, maybe we can reach out and get proposals, and then we would have a proposal to vote on
Something-
at the
Sure.
next meeting.
Specific to vote on, yeah. Okay.
I'll get the list to everyone.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. DeVillio? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved.
And a second from Commissioner Shermack. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Controller DeVillio. Next, we'll call on Mr. McConaughey for the Community Corrections Center report.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
This is the house arrest report for the month of February. Programs totals. Adult house arrest had 163 people. Juvenile had 29. Programs revenues. House arrest had $55,821.82. Juvenile had $4,630. Total, $60,451.82. Year-to-date total on both departments is $117,712.94. Programs expenses was $68,198.93. Programs completions were 37. Violations were 12. There's still one outstanding warrant for house arrest. Budget report overall, overtime's at 2%, expenses at 16%, and revenues at 17%. That's the end of my report.
Any questions for Norm? Nope. Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The report for February 23 is approved. Thank you, Norm.
Have a good day.
Okay. Warden Betty. We now move to the warden's report.
Good afternoon, Board.
Afternoon.
The average daily population for for February was 734 inmates, 550 were county inmates, and we averaged 644 adult males, 5 juvenile males, and 85 adult females. And the average daily population of U.S. Marshal detainees is 184. Our overtime and out-of-county boarding reports are attached. Staffing update, currently our correctional officers' numbers break down to 169 full-time officers on shift, 7 out on workers' comp, 1 on continuous FMLA, 61 with intermittent FMLA, 3 on administrative leave, and 1 full-time vacancy, for a total of 181 full-time officers. As of February 28, 2023, revenue was at 20% and expenses were at 16%. Extraordinary occurrence reports, there were 3 during the month of February. On February 5th, an individual who was on a suicide prevention watch covered his camera and began threatening to harm himself, and a decision was made to place him in the emergency restraint chair to allow for a safe transfer to a new cell. On February 9th, an individual attempted to forcibly grab a sergeant through his cell door, and this person then started making threats of self-harm and then claimed that he was intent on banging his head off his cell wall, and a decision was made to place him in the emergency restraint chair for his safety. And on 2/20, a newly committed individual began arguing with his father while on the phone. We provide all new commits with phone calls. The individual would not calm down, and he began acting out in an aggressive manner, and then he made an aggressive move towards an officer. Staff then applied handcuffs and tried to get him to relax. However, he started kicking at the officers, and a decision was made to place him in the emergency restraint chair for his safety and the safety of everyone else. PREA, there was one PREA investigation completed in the month of February. It was an allegation of inmate sexual harassment, and it was deemed unfounded. And the investigative report has been forwarded to the DA's office. And this concludes my report.
Any questions for the warden?
Officer Sayre, did he get injured in an incident recently?
I believe he did, yes.
Okay, no information on how he is or what's going on?
To the best of my knowledge, fine. I can look into that after the meeting and get back to you.
Anything else? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the warden's report.
So moved.
Second.
Second, on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the warden's report is approved. Thank you, warden.
Thank you.
Stick around. Yep. Okay. Anybody from the public wish to address the board? Bev?
I didn't want to go first, but Bev DeBarros, Scranton.
There you go.
Reporting on the voter registration. Norma Jeffries, who is here, and I had been previously volunteers in the jail, and so all we had to do was just update our clearance, and then we were able to go in. So far, we have 25 new registrations, and we're just getting started, really. We have 5 people who felt they were registered and asked us to check, which then I could take their information home, and because I have the internet and they don't, and found that 5 of them were active. A few were unable to confirm their status, so we'll go back and tell them to update their, to update.
Yeah, great.
And
are they all local, or are they from different counties? I'm just curious.
different counties.
Okay. All right.
Mostly Lackawanna, I think 5 from Luzerne, 1 from Susquehanna, 1 from Monroe, 2 from out of state. So
Okay.
that's going to take some research to get them a ballot.
Okay.
One's from Cook County, Illinois, and the other from Nassau County, Long Island, New York.
Okay.
So that's going forward. Now, the next thing, as you know, is them being informed to make a good decision in their voting. And so, I've always recommended that we get the newspaper in there now more than ever. And here's the example. This morning's paper showed some of the candidates that were approved, got their, I have to quote it.
Well, their petitions are being challenged.
Well, a few of them,
Yeah.
not here, but what I was getting at is the party's executive committee met Monday night and endorsed so-and-so.
Okay.
So that's just a little beginning part of the news. Right, I want to get from the Bureau of Elections a list of who's on both ballots, the Republican and Democrat, in our county, so that I can, because they ask me that when we go in. But mostly I am asking that that we get the newspaper in there. I'm thinking 2 subscriptions for each unit so that the people could share them. Just take them apart, pass out the sections, and there's a lot more news than just who's running and why they're running, what their policies are. That, our journalism kicks in with all that. And you all know the good features, the letters to the editor, the one help wanted ads for people that are near to getting out. I mean, there's just the housing availability. There's just so much news that people need when they get out, and this can help with that also. But for voting, the other source.
Let me just ask you, are you
Yeah.
proposing that we get, the hard copy of the paper?
Yes,
As opposed to a digital subscription?
yes.
Why?
Some of the inmates, and I used to take up collections from people and get a subscription and send it in to like one inmate and say with the idea this is to be shared around, and that's what they do. And people do get paper subscriptions daily in there.
Okay.
So,
One of the reasons I ask is that there was something in the paper the other day that they're not going to be printing
on Monday.
on Mondays.
Right.
It's going to be digital only.
Yeah.
I suspect that as time goes on, we'll see more of those. I mean, for the present, that's what it's going to be.
Wow.
But,
So, yeah, but
and I think if we
I
had...
think the main news, hopefully, the main news from Monday will be carried over to the Tuesday edition. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm just wondering with the access to the tablets, if a digital subscription might...
I've asked for that. Remember when the tablets started?
Yes,
asked
I
for
know that. I know that. So
And it didn't.
But
But
I'm-
now I'm asking for this, for more reasons.
Okay.
But basically for that reason.
Okay.
So until the end of May, I hope we get, I'd say there's approximately 20 units in there with people, and so 2 papers per unit. I'm asking we have so much money in the account, as we know. And so if we can't get 40 subscriptions, for, 2.5 months or 3 months from now till end of May?
We probably want to do it till the end of the year because there's a general election.
that would be nice.
We should reach out to the Times and see if they have some
Group
mechanism
discount?
to accommodate.
Yeah, I have
Under
reached out.
circumstances.
They accommodate the people in here that are working on their GED. The Times gives them free subscriptions, but it's for that group only. I have asked them but really, we have all this money, and it
No, we
certainly
don't need a
falls...
free subscription. I agree with you. We
Yeah,
don't need a free
thank you.
subscription. Do her
Because we
numbers-
need to support our newspaper as well, and we have the money to do so.
Is Bev's numbers accurate in terms of, you think 20 subscriptions?
Well, 40.
I think, I was gonna say, I don't really see it, I'd have to get a price, but I don't see it as being a big, huge issue. I happen to agree with what Bev is saying with the amount of money that's in the canteen account.
I'm just talking about the logistics of it. Are 2 subscriptions per block going to be sufficient?
We don't
For
have
them to
issue-
share
We don't have
around.
competition over who gets to read the newspaper.
The biggest block would have, right now, about 60 people in it.
But I broke it down into unit, like one block might have 3 units, so that's how I came up with 20.
Okay. Yeah. I'd have to analyze that, but I don't think I think it's doable, and we might decide maybe we'll get even more subscriptions than what Bev is suggesting.
Okay. What does everybody else think?
I have no problem with it, as long as they can there's no issue with drugs being smuggled in on the newspaper and stuff like that, but
Well, they'd have to pass through security. and-
Oh, well, they're delivered daily. The Times delivers the bundle, and then it's distributed.
Warden, that's subject to go through your security, right, the newspapers?
Yes.
You have a machine for that, right?
Yes.
Irrespective of who delivers them, they'll
Yeah.
be checked.
Okay.
Okay, what's next?
What's next is the other avenue for information, I think, is ECTV, which, by the way, since I was in the jail before till now, the new TVs on the wall are nice. They're so much nicer than the little ones, and they're up high, and so I wanted to say that was a good improvement. Now,
Thank you. I had absolutely nothing to do with it.
I think it was Debbie Dominic. So aside from the normal news, I know sometimes of the day TV is not allowed on, but I do know that they get Channel 19. And so, like, this is being televised live, and some of the people who are running for office are here, and that gives them an idea, and at the commissioners' meeting. And sadly, the League of Women Voters, you know how they have their debates. The debates are not until April 27th and May 4th. And then, so if anybody with a mail-in ballot wants that information to make up their mind for the final time, that doesn't give much time to fill in your mail-in ballot and get it in there, and, voting day is May 16th. So I don't know what to do about that. The other thing I can think of is, in addition to the very good community information that comes on ECTV, the other thing, I don't know if this is doable, but could we have a representative from and I don't know who these people are even, but from each of the two parties that, are represented on our ballot this time, come and speak on ECTV that, as a community service announcement, saying, like, some people, I'm sorry to say, don't even know too much the difference between a primary ballot and the November ballot. So just general information, the difference between the two parties, maybe.
You're talking about having somebody come into the prison, or someone?
No, to ECTV, which would be broadcast.
Okay, well, that's a call for ECTV.
Okay, and I'll be asking about that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that those are my two ideas of getting information in there. I really didn't think we could get people in there otherwise, I think that's what I have about that. The one other thing, where my heart is, about the chaplain, how we went through all that. Then we got chaplains. Our church, Asbury Methodist, got this, and I think a lot of churches get this. I don't get this Jubilee newsletter about our prison, but I think they want the churches to donate money. But anyway, there's some news in here. It names the 3 chaplains, and they really talk a lot about, we've had at least 4 to 6 salvations per week, Chaplain Tom writes. And Mia, the female chaplain, part-time, she says something about the women. But I really was wondering how many times the chapel is used, and I don't see anything about the other than this sort of, well, definitely it's Christian, which I am too, but I still respect the other faiths, and even the other denominations within the Christian faith. I don't see anything about Catholic services, which we always had a full day for people to come and have Mass in there on Mondays. And as far as the Muslims, Ramadan's coming up, and I don't hear anything about, so that's what I'm asking, update on our religious services in there.
Tim, can you speak to that?
Sure. I don't have an update on every religion.
Right.
what we do have is, we do have an imam who comes in. He comes in on Fridays. I'll come over here. We have an imam who comes in on Fridays to provide service, Muslim services. We have Father Ruth from the Catholic faith. He comes here on Mondays. If I remember correctly, he does an English Mass, a Spanish Mass, and a female Mass. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know he provides several services a week. And through Jubilee, I know that we have Pastor Tom Dugan, Pastor Wilfredo Medina, and I'm sorry, I don't know Mia's last name, and I don't know that they are in particular doing services themselves, but I believe so. Are they out doing services?
We have a rabbi starting to.
We do have a rabbi, but there's not a weekly Jewish service, and I think that's part and parcel because we might have 1 to 5 individuals proclaiming the Jewish faith. And other religions, I mean, we're trying to provide as much as we can, but the reality is, I don't know how many people that are here that are Taoists or Buddhists. I don't know off the top of my head. If there's a significant number, enough of a number, and we have a religious leader expressing an interest in providing services, we'll do it.
Is that information collected on intake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. During intake. And we get, I guess after, I think our biggest services are the Catholic, the Protestant, and the Muslim.
Okay.
But again, there's a whole variety of religions out there, and again, if we have a religious leader who's willing to perform a weekly service, just get in contact with us.
That's me.
And we have a lot of Bible studies.
Okay. So, you mentioned Ramadan's coming up, and of course,
March 22nd, I
Passover
believe, the
will be
evening of
coming
March
up, too.
22nd. 23rd? Thank you, sir. Okay.
So, you should probably talk to the imam if he's going to do anything in particular.
Yeah, and we've always done something with our Muslim population. It is sundown, March 23rd, that it begins.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, I believe it runs for 30 days. What we do for our Muslim population is we get volunteers to sign up, people that want to participate in Ramadan, and we will provide them with an overnight bag lunch, so to speak, because with Ramadan, you don't eat between sun up and sundown during that time period. Right. So we give them an early breakfast. Again, time of the year matters too, and every year seems to kind of move back 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, so 10 days, move back 10 days.
Back 10 days. So now we're starting it in March. I can remember years ago when it was in the middle of summer, and sometimes logistics come into play because of what time the sun goes down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, as long as we're conscious of it, that's...
Yeah. And right now, we do have, for those of the Catholic faith, Lent is ongoing right now, and on Fridays, we provide meatless meals to the population.
Okay.
Excuse
Bev,
me,
do you want to...
The correction, is sunset on the 22nd. The fast day starts on the 23rd.
Thank you. Bev?
About other Bible study volunteer, but I did tried to contact Tom Dugan. I knew him before when we both were just like equally in there. He would go with the men and me with the women, but I didn't get a return call because I wanted to be signed up to go in once a week like I did before. That's what I really wanted to be, the Bible studies.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public?
I just want to clear it with the boss first.
Smart move.
I'm Norma Jeffries, and I'm a city resident, and I've been working with Bev on the election and all, and just to add to it, they're very excited when we come. We may only give 3 or 4 that come down, but the word is spreading that we're there. But only thing I wanted to add to what Bev was saying, and it seemed to, I'm a digital person, so the digital newspapers is less expensive than the paper. So someone had mentioned about putting it on the tablet, someone from the table here. And I was just wanted to find out more on that. Is that something that's doable? Because it seems like it's less expensive than the paper. and to get the paper, the digital access on the tablets.
Certainly worth looking at. I agree with you, certainly, because it would also broaden the availability rather than waiting for a couple of hard copies to get passed around the unit. Bev is,
I think there are still people in there without tablets. So availability,
I just did a count the other day and found that tablets were different.
oh, that's a new thing then.
okay.
So the only other thing I want to add about the digital and the newspapers, that's something that we think we'll have before in time so that the residents will be able to be educated, because that's the biggest thing that we're collecting the data, but if they don't know who to vote for, or if they haven't had time to read about who to vote for and all, and we're just hoping that, you know, it'll be sooner rather than later.
We'll
that
try
they
and
can
get it done as soon as we can, because I'll tell you, the ballots aren't finalized yet.
Yes,
because
we're told that.
people are just being challenged this week. That was, this week is the deadline to challenge somebody who might be on. So those challenges have to be decided before a ballot can be finalized.
Okay, that's all I wanted to add. Everything else she said was great.
Well, thank you, Norma and Bev, too, for your continued interest. And anybody else from the public?
Warren Rozelle, do we have enough tablets to accommodate the digital format? Do we have enough?
Yes,
So,
and
so that wouldn't be an issue, in your
no, the
opinion?
only people that do not get a tablet currently are those in disciplinary custody.
Okay.
If they were written up for misconduct, then they're not able to have a tablet for a short time. And by next month, everyone will be assigned their own tablet for their entire incarceration. Right now, they all share tablets on the units, but they all have 1-to-1 ratio. But in March, or in April, they're all gonna have tablets assigned to them, and nobody else.
So probably more viable for them to use the tablets with the digital format.
Those that are able.
Those that are able.
Right.
My question.
Got some people like Bev and myself.
One thing for this conversation, I looked into this in the past, and GTL, now known as Viapath, our provider, there are complications with putting it on the tablets because they have to open it up to the internet. That causes all sorts of problems. I don't know where they stand with their technology, whether they can limit it to just being able to have it opened up so that they can access the Scranton Times website and only Scranton Times website and maybe other ones, but that was the problem in the past where we couldn't put it onto the tablet.
Okay.
So that, I suspect, may still be there as an issue. So I don't want people thinking that we're gonna have this up and on the tablets next month, because we might not. We'll have to look into it again and see where they're at.
Okay, well, we can look into it, but I think in the meantime, if we have to get some hard copies,
backup plan.
we can do that too. I'm not talking about an either-or.
Yeah.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think we can do both.
And I'm certainly no techie, but I don't know if there's the possibility where they can get a copy of the paper and then somehow download it onto the tablets through GTL or something like that without them having to get onto the internet to be able to download it.
That's true, too.
Something like to that effect where, you know,
Something as simple as taking a picture of the page.
something.
My only other question is,
Yes.
what time access does the inmate have with the tablet? Because I thought that was very restricted. So, I mean, do they have enough time? Do they read a book, read the newspaper? What is the allocated time for that?
The majority of the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like hours.
I don't have the exact hours, but it's more than 12 hours in the
Oh.
course.
8 a.m. to 10
Fantastic.
p.m.
8 to 8?
8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It's 12.
Fantastic. And my only other clarification, we're currently having Catholic masses weekly,
By my understanding is Father Ruth comes in every other Monday.
every other Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
What was your name, ma'am?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Eileen Acapinti.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public? Okay, I don't see anybody else, so, any other members from, oh, okay, yeah, we'll have to go into executive session, so, at this point, we'll go into executive session. I'll ask everybody from the audience to step outside in the hall so we can conduct an executive session. Okay. All right, thanks, everybody. We went into executive session to discuss a couple of personnel matters. So one was a question of termination, and one was a question of hiring. So the hiring was a question of hiring a part-time receptionist, and so can I do I have a motion to hire Christine Mandarino? There's a motion by Commissioner Shermack, a second by Commissioner Notarianni. All on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And the other personnel matter was a question of termination of Captain Timothy Walsh. So can I have a motion, or do I have a motion to terminate Captain Timothy Walsh?
I'll make that motion based on my comments during executive session,
Okay.
which I'll mention in public. He breached several security measures. He directly involved in botching a district attorney's investigation, misuse of JNet, and multiple other incidents that is a breach of security. And based on what I've read and the recommendation of the warden, I'll make the motion to terminate Mr. Walsh.
The motion is made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Captain Walsh should be terminated. Any other business from any of the members?
I just have a quick note here, Judge. I wanted to recognize my Chief Internal Auditor, Reggie Mariani, for uncovering a $105,000 state prison grant that's now available that had been dormant for about 2 years. It had gotten lost in the shuffle, so to speak, when we had an administrative deputy warden position change. And now that those funds are available, that is in no way critical of the current administration. So I just want to say good job to Reggie. He was aided by Tom Arduino from Revenue and Finance, and Sandy Pshinsky, a county grant writer. Thanks to all for a good job. Reggie was at the podium earlier. My deputy Jermaine Halkowski is here also, and she's also doing a great job, as is my entire staff. Thank you.
Okay. So noted. Congratulations. Nice work.
Colleen was very helpful.
And Colleen Orzel, too. Great job, Court.
Good job.
All right. Any other business from any of the other members? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So we're hanging up, Mr. Powell.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody.